Scorpio, before anything becomes visible in the physical world, the universe always stirs the waters of your energetic field first. And right now, those waters are shifting in a way that is subtle enough to ignore if you were anyone else, yet unmistakable to a soul born under Pluto's dominion. There is a faint but persistent vibration around you, like the tremor that runs beneath a lake when something living approaches from the depths. Silent but deliberate, hidden but inevitable. Even if no one has appeared yet, even if no message has arrived, even if no obvious red flag has presented itself, your intuition, the powerful, inconvenient, unshakable truth detector you were born with, has already begun whispering that someone is moving toward you with intentions that are not pure, not aligned, not honest. And they are preparing to use your emotional intelligence, your compassion, and your healing nature for purposes that serve them, not you. This is not someone you are meant to open your heart to. This is someone the universe sends as a test to determine whether you can finally protect yourself from the type of soul that knows how to weaponize vulnerability. You are the only sign in the zodiac capable of detecting danger without seeing it, of sensing falseness without hearing a lie, of knowing someone's intention before they articulate a single word. Yet the person approaching now is more intricate than the usual emotional opportunist. They do not lead with charm, because charm does not work on Scorpio. They do not lead with seduction, because you see through seduction like glass. Instead, they lead with fragility. They lead with the image of a wounded soul. They lead with a script that has been practiced many times before the broken voice, the sad story, the trembling confession meant to bypass your defenses. They understand that Scorpio does not fall for flattery but for sincerity. Or rather, for what looks like sincerity. They understand that your empathy is as deep as your darkness. And if they can make you feel responsible for their pain, they can enter your energy without resistance. You are not easy to deceive, but you are easy to feel. And this distinction is precisely what puts you at risk. You do not trust quickly, but you care quickly. You do not open your heart, but you open your aura. You do not share your secrets, but you allow others to stand close enough to feel your warmth. And that alone is enough for someone starving for attention to latch onto you. Scorpio energy is magnetic, not because you try to be, but because you carry an internal flame that attracts the lost, the broken, the unstable, the ungrounded. They sense your resilience, your strength, your capacity to hold emotional weight, and they crave it in ways they often do not understand themselves. You are the intense blue fire in a dark room, the presence that promises depth, the energy that promises transformation. And those who lack inner substance will always be drawn to someone like you, not to love you, but to siphon what they do not possess. What makes this person dangerous is not that they will lie to you, but that they will tell the exact truth you are vulnerable to. They will speak of abandonment because they know Scorpio understands abandonment. They will speak of betrayal because they know you carry your own history of broken trust. They will speak of needing someone who truly gets them because they know you have spent your life longing for someone who understands your complexity. And it is precisely because their story echoes your wounds that you may hesitate to question their motives. They are not mirroring your soul, they are imitating your shadow. They do not come to be healed, they come to feed. The universe is not warning you because harm is destined. It is warning you because a lesson is overdue. You must learn, really learn, that not every cry for help deserves your depth. Not every fragile soul deserves your forgiveness. And not every person who gravitates toward your light is seeking warmth. Some are simply seeking fuel. This person approaches with hunger disguised as vulnerability, with need disguised as affection, with manipulation disguised as intimacy. They want what Scorpio gives so instinctively: emotional power, psychic stability, unconditional presence. and the feeling of being anchored to someone stronger than themselves. You are not meant to save this person. You are meant to recognize them. And the test begins the moment they step toward you. Scorpio, once the energy of this person begins approaching your field, the universe will not leave you blind. It will not allow you to walk into their influence without warning signals rising inside your body, your intuition, and your emotional atmosphere. But because this person's tactics are soft rather than aggressive, emotional rather than logical, sympathetic rather than suspicious, the signs will appear in delicate, almost invisible ways unless you know how to read the language of energy. And you do. You always have. That is why the universe speaks to you through sensation before it speaks through events. The first sign is subtle dissonance. They will speak words that sound warm, but the tone beneath them feels strangely hollow, as if they learned the language of vulnerability but never felt the emotions behind it. You will notice that their praise comes too quickly, too enthusiastically, too perfectly aligned with the parts of yourself you try to keep private. They will say things that make you feel seen, yet somehow not understood. They will admire your strength but simultaneously imply you should use that strength for their benefit. They will identify your softness and immediately test its boundaries. The next sign comes from the pace at which they try to enter your life. Scorpio does not trust easily, and yet you attract those who attempt to bypass the natural timeline of intimacy by rushing toward closeness. This person will try to create emotional acceleration, an artificial sense of connection that does not emerge organically but is instead manufactured through oversharing, flattery, or confessions designed to make you feel like they are placing their soul into your hands. They will move quickly not because they feel a genuine bond, but because the longer you observe them, the higher the risk that your intuition will expose them. They do not want you to see them clearly. They want you overwhelmed enough to stop questioning their motives. They want you to believe there is a special connection before your inner alarms begin ringing. And yet, even with all their effort, your body will know. Scorpio intuition rarely shouts. Instead, it whispers in the form of discomfort, a subtle tightening in your chest, a flicker of irritation during what should be a sweet moment, a sense that something is off even when their behavior appears kind. You will notice inconsistencies in their stories, pauses filled with calculations rather than sincerity, eyes that shift too quickly when you ask a simple question. They will speak of trust but avoid accountability. They will share pain but deflect responsibility. They will emphasize connection while ignoring boundaries. Their emotional expressions will feel curated, polished, theatrical, as if they are performing a version of themselves rather than revealing who they truly are. Another sign emerges in the way they respond to your boundaries. Scorpio boundaries are sacred, carved from past betrayals, protected by instinct and by fire. Yet this person will test them gently at first, then more boldly as they sense your growing caution. They may say you are too guarded, or suggest you are overthinking, or imply that your intuition is misreading the situation. They will try to turn your greatest power, your ability to detect danger, into a weakness. And because Scorpio has been misunderstood so many times, the temptation to doubt yourself will surface, even if only momentarily. But deep down, you will feel the pressure they apply. Not outwardly forceful, but emotionally manipulative, as if your hesitation injures them, as if your caution is an insult to their supposed sincerity. This is not love. This is entitlement disguised as tenderness. Then there is the most telling sign of all, the way they speak about their past. They will describe themselves as a perpetual victim, someone always wronged, always betrayed, always misunderstood. They will present a pattern of failed relationships where they carry no responsibility, and the other person is always the villain. They will talk about abandonment not as an experience that shaped them, but as a tool to evoke your empathy. Scorpio, You must remember those who never take accountability for their past rarely intend to take accountability for their future. If someone's story places them at the center of dramatic suffering while everyone else is framed as the aggressor, you are dealing with someone who has learned to weaponize pity. And Scorpio's heart, compassionate, intense, deeply attuned to emotional truth, is uniquely vulnerable to this weapon. But the final sign, the one that will make your intuition flare like lightning, is how they behave when you pull your energy back even slightly. A genuine soul will respect your space, understand your silence, and allow you to process your feelings. But this person will panic. They will cling. They will guilt trip. They will push harder. The more distance you create, the more desperate they become. Because they are not attached to you, they are attached to what they think they can extract from you. You will see their true face, not when they enter your life, but when you try to step away. Scorpio. Every sign is already coming into focus, and the universe needs you to pay attention. Scorpio. The universe never places a person in your path without a deeper reason, even when that reason is wrapped in discomfort. Even when the arrival feels like an intrusion rather than a blessing. The individual approaching you now is not here by accident or coincidence. They are pulled toward you by a magnetic tension created between your chart and theirs. A tension that arises when Scorpio is undergoing a period of internal transformation and someone with weaker emotional architecture senses the shift subconsciously. Your energy right now is changing, sharpening, rising. And when Scorpio begins to ascend, those who are lost, unstable, ungrounded, or emotionally hungry feel it like a scent in the air, a vibration that promises shelter, intensity, healing, or validation. They come because you are luminous in a way that only souls who have survived the dark can be. And those who lack that resilience crave it as if they have found water in the desert. Astrologically, this moment unfolds because Pluto, your ruling planet, is activating the sectors of your chart associated with power exchange, emotional boundaries, and karmic lessons. Pluto does not send you ease, it sends you mirrors. It sends you tests. It sends you situations in which your old wounds are reactivated, not to punish you, but to confirm whether you have transcended them. This person is attracted to you precisely because you no longer radiate the same vulnerability you once did. Yet remnants of that old energy still linger, just enough for them to sense an opening. They feel drawn to your depth, yet they do not understand it. They feel drawn to your strength, yet they cannot match it. They feel drawn to your aura, yet they do not know how to handle the spiritual weight of being close to someone who sees through people effortlessly. What they crave is not connection, but refuge. And they mistake your presence for safety. Mars, the co-ruler of Scorpio, amplifies this effect by increasing your internal fire. When Mars moves through certain parts of your chart, your aura becomes electrically charged. And people feel compelled to approach you even when they cannot explain why. Mars gives you an emotional magnetism that does not require flirting, speaking, or even looking at someone. It is an energetic call that others respond to instinctively. But Mars also brings conflict, shadow exposure, and lessons in self-assertion. When someone steps into your field during a Mars transit, they are often there to challenge your boundaries, test your discernment, or provoke parts of you that remain unhealed. The person approaching you now carries precisely that vibration. They arrive as a test of your willingness to say no, to protect your energy, and to trust your intuition over your compassion. Venus contributes in a more subtle way. When Venus interacts with your 8th house, the house of merging, power dynamics, and emotional entanglement, it attracts people who are fascinated by your intensity but not prepared for it. They confuse your silence for mystery, your emotional intelligence for sympathy, your boundaries for invitations. They believe you are a puzzle they can solve or a source of healing they can consume. They do not understand that Scorpio is not a well of endless emotional labor. You are a force of nature. And anyone who enters your waters without respect will drown in their own illusions. Yet Venus's influence makes these individuals bold, confident, and blind to their own shortcomings. They approach you with the misguided belief that your heart is available simply because your eyes are compassionate. Then there are the nodes, the karmic points of destiny. When the nodes activate Scorpio's chart, especially the axis of self-worth and relational karma, the universe orchestrates encounters that serve as spiritual checkpoints. These are moments when you must demonstrate who you have become by refusing what you have outgrown. This person's role is not to harm you, but to reveal your evolution. They are a reflection of the type of connection you have spent years attracting before you understood your own power. They are the embodiment of your old pattern, caring for the wounded, rescuing the broken, giving too much to those who offer too little, mistaking emotional intensity for emotional compatibility. The universe is asking whether you are still willing to play this role, or whether you are finally ready to rise into relationships that are reciprocal, empowering, and worthy of your depth. And finally, Scorpio. This person is drawn to you because you are in a moment of transition. When Scorpio is on the verge of leveling up emotionally, professionally, or spiritually, the shadow always arrives first. It arrives in the form of temptation, distraction, or a familiar wound disguised as a new beginning. If you allow this person access to your emotional frequency, they will slow your transformation, dim your intuition, and absorb the energy you should be using for your own growth. But if you recognize the test, you will break the pattern forever. This is why they come. This is why you must see clearly. And this is where your true power begins. Scorpio. Not every one of you will be approached by the same type of person or in the same setting, because the universe shapes these encounters differently depending on which segment of the Scorpio archetype you were born under. Your ruling planets move in distinct rhythms across the zodiac each year, and these rhythms reveal not only who is coming toward you, but why they believe they can access your energy. Although all Scorpios are connected through intensity, depth, resilience, and emotional X-ray vision, the texture of your emotional boundaries and the shape of your vulnerabilities shifts subtly across the three Scorpio decans. And the person approaching you will align almost perfectly with that astrological variation, as if drawn to the exact type of emotional opening they believe they can exploit. This is not coincidence, nor is it fate. It is energetic precision. And knowing it will help you identify them long before they reach your inner circle. If you were born between October 23rd and November 1st, you carry the purest frequency of Pluto and Mars. The frequency of transformation, instinct, and alchemical power. You are the Scorpio who can sense danger the moment it enters a room, who feels lies in the body before hearing them in words. And yet you are also the Scorpio who attracts the most damaged individuals because your energy promises rebirth. For this birth range, the person approaching you will most likely appear through your professional world or an environment related to projects, ambition, or shared tasks. They are drawn to your competence, your stability, and your ability to navigate chaos with calmness. They will present themselves as someone overwhelmed, someone who admires your strength, someone who needs guidance or understanding. And they will try to embed themselves into your routine by creating a sense of mutual responsibility. Their strategy is to make you feel indispensable, to convince you that you are the one person who can help them manage their disorder. You will know them by the way they lean heavily into your practical strengths while avoiding the emotional accountability you quietly expect. If you were born between November 2nd and November 12th, your chart is touched more intensely by Mars, giving you a fire beneath the water, a blend of passion and emotional force that others experience as irresistible even when you do nothing to project it. People from your past feel this heat more strongly than strangers do. which is why the approaching person for this birth range is almost always someone returning a ghost with familiar eyes. A connection that faded before it could fully form. Or a relationship that ended without clean closure. They are drawn back to you because your emotional gravity has intensified during recent transits, pulling old patterns and old energies back into your orbit. But do not mistake their return for genuine growth. Often they are seeking the comfort you once provided, the emotional intensity you offered, or the validation they lost when you withdrew your affection. You will recognize this person by the way they bring nostalgia with them like a weapon, by the way they talk about the past as if it were proof of destiny, and by the way they avoid acknowledging the reasons things fell apart. They will say things like, "No one ever understood me like you did," because they know that Scorpio's weakness is the feeling of being irreplaceable. If you were born between November 13th and November 21st, you are influenced by the final degrees of Scorpio, where Pluto's shadow grows thicker, intuition grows sharper, and emotional thresholds become more guarded. You appear composed, unreadable, and self-contained. And this makes you particularly alluring to the type of person who desires the status of being close to Scorpio without doing the emotional work required to deserve that closeness. The person approaching you will likely be someone admired by others, someone socially charming, someone whose image is polished and appealing, someone who seems kind, competent, and harmless on the surface. But behind closed doors, their energy shifts, their neediness becomes apparent, their insecurity emerges, their jealousy reveals itself through subtle jabs or competitive tension. They want proximity to your emotional strength because it makes them feel significant. But they have no intention of reciprocating the depth you offer. You will identify them by the contrast between their public persona and their private energy. By the way, their confidence dissolves when they are alone with you. And by the way, they become clingy or demanding the moment they sense your distance. Despite these differences, all three types share a common thread. They are drawn not to your heart, but to your power. And their arrival is timed with an astrological purpose to challenge your ability to discern who deserves your emotional intimacy and who merely wants to feed on it. Each birth range attracts a different mask, but the core intentions behind the person approaching you remain consistent. They want what you give effortlessly. They want the emotional gravity that makes Scorpio unforgettable. And they are hoping you will ignore the signs your intuition has already begun translating. Scorpio, the universe is giving you clarity. Do not let compassion silence your instincts. Scorpio, now that the universe has shown you who is approaching, why they are drawn to you, and how to recognize them before they reach your emotional core, there is one final layer of truth you must hear. And it is not gentle, not decorative, not diluted. It is the truth that comes when Pluto speaks directly to your soul. When Mars awakens the warrior within you, when the universe demands not softness, not compassion, but discernment. The person moving toward you is not coming to love you, not coming to build with you, not coming to offer the reciprocity and depth your heart deserves. They are coming because they believe your energy can fill the void inside them, because they believe your emotional strength can substitute for the strength they lack, because they sense the quiet power within you and hope they can use it for their benefit long before you realize what is happening. If you do not listen to your intuition now, you will open a door you will later struggle to close. And the universe is trying to spare you that pain by showing you the truth before the cost appears. You must understand that this person does not arrive accidentally or randomly. They arrive during a period when your chart is entering a new cycle of emotional transformation. A cycle in which the universe expects you to elevate your standards, tighten your boundaries, and refine your perception of who is worthy of your vulnerability. When Scorpio is about to rise, the shadow arrives first always. It arrives in the form of temptation, distraction, or someone who mimics emotional depth but cannot sustain it. And if you accept their presence, even for a moment, You will feel your energy begin to drain in ways that are subtle at first but unmistakable over time. You will feel emotionally tired without reason, mentally foggy without cause, spiritually heavy without explanation. These symptoms are not coincidences, they are warnings. This person carries a hunger that cannot be satisfied, a need that grows larger the more you give, and a void that becomes deeper the closer they stand to your warmth. You have spent years healing yourself from wounds caused by people who mistaken your loyalty for availability, your compassion for permission, your insight for responsibility. You have rebuilt yourself piece by piece after trusting the wrong souls, after carrying burdens that were not yours, after loving people who did not know how to handle the intensity of a Scorpio heart. You are stronger now, clearer now, sharper now. But strength does not exempt you from being targeted by those who sense that strength. In fact, it attracts them more. People come to Scorpio in search of transformation. But not everyone comes willing to transform themselves. Some come wanting you to do the work for them, wanting your energy to stabilize them, wanting your emotional intelligence to guide them, wanting your presence to regulate them. These people are not partners. They are parasites dressed as lost souls. And the universe refuses to let you repeat the same cycle again. It refuses to let you sacrifice your emotional well-being for someone who views you as a solution rather than a human being. It refuses to let you dim your intuition just to spare another person's feelings. It refuses to let you carry someone who will never learn to carry themselves. This is why the signs will grow louder the closer they come. Your dreams may feel heavier. Your instincts may feel sharper. Your body may respond before your mind does. Scorpio does not receive warnings in words, you receive warnings in sensation. Pay attention to the shift in your energy when you think of them. Pay attention to the way your mood subtly dips after speaking to them. Pay attention to the feeling in your stomach when they message you. The truth is already there, vibrating beneath your ribs. If you choose to ignore these signs, the cost will not be dramatic at first. It will be quiet, creeping, and slow. You will give small pieces of your energy until you do not recognize the fatigue forming inside you. You will soften your boundaries until you cannot remember where they once stood. You will absorb someone else's chaos until it mingles with your own. And you will realize, too late, that this was never love, never connection, never destiny, only extraction. But if you choose differently, if you listen to your intuition, if you honor the discomfort, if you protect your energy with firm boundaries and unapologetic clarity, the universe will reward you in ways this person never could. When Scorpio chooses self-preservation over self-sacrifice, doors open. When you reject what drains you, what nourishes you begins to arrive. When you refuse to let someone consume your emotional fire, your spiritual evolution accelerates. The universe is not testing whether you can identify danger. It already knows you can. It is testing whether you will protect yourself before the danger arrives. Scorpio, your power has outgrown the phase of rescuing broken souls. Your path now requires discernment, not pity. Your evolution requires boundaries, not excuses. Your destiny requires clarity, not sacrifice. The warning has been given. The signs are clear. The choice, as always, is yours.